What's going on, everybody? How are we doing this morning? All right, I got a story I want to tell you guys because it's super important. So, December 5th, 1901, a little boy in Chicago was born. His name was Walt. Okay? And Walt loved to draw. And he spent his whole life drawing and creating and doing things. And he had a vision about a program or a cartoon called Alice's Wonderland. Okay? And he wrote with this vision with his brother Roy, and Walt and Roy had the Disney Studios. And they had a story, Alice's Wonderland, not Alice in Wonderland. It was called Alice's Wonderland. And he grew tired of Alice's Wonderland. And he was on to his next story. He actually made a cartoon rabbit. And his rabbit idea got stolen by another employee, so he was out on his rabbit idea. And so he always had this mouse in the back of his head, so he decided to create this cartoon mouse. And this cartoon mouse was named Mortimer Mouse. And thank goodness for his lovely wife that said, hey, Walt, Mortimer, really? Let's try Mickey. Why don't you go with Mickey Mouse instead of Mortimer Mouse? So here we are. We've got Walt Disney. He's got Mickey Mouse. And he wants to be an artist, wants to be a cartoonist, wants to do these things. Kind of in the game, kind of going after his vision. But then he had the chance and the opportunity to turn that into something more than a vision. Okay? And he began to create parks, and he turned his Mickey Mouse character into places, literally places people could go, because that was his vision. Places that he could go. So these things started happening out in California, and he had a vision for a piece of property in Orlando, Florida, to where he could create a concept called Epcot Center. And Epcot Center would be all about the future. It would be a project that he would never finish, that it would always be updating with today's latest technologies. But his biggest dream, his biggest vision was the Magic Kingdom. The Magic Kingdom was Walt's pinnacle of pinnacles that he wanted to achieve. So the Magic Kingdom project started, and they were wondering what to call it. So Roy and Walt, his brother, had Disney Studios, and they were going to call it Disney World. And Roy insisted that Walt name it Walt Disney World because of Walt's vision, and Walt was the guy behind all this. Roy was his older brother, but he was just kind of helping out, doing the big brother thing. And so Walt Disney World in Orlando, Florida was created. And in 1966, in December 15th, 1966, Walt Disney died of lung cancer. Now, the Magic Kingdom opened October 1st, 1971. So Walt tragically didn't get to see his own creation open the doors for the Magic Kingdom. Okay, and for those of you that have been in Disney, you know the Magic Kingdom is kind of the place you need to go, right? It's the place you need to go, and so he died 5 years before this. So his brother Roy is doing the opening ceremonies, and they're interviewing him, they're talking about him and all this kind of stuff. And one reporter raises his hand and says, "Hey Roy, can you comment on how bad you feel that Walt was not here to see this? It must be awful that your brother worked so hard for this to happen and never saw it." And Roy, Walt's older brother, looks and turns to the reporter the way the story goes and says, "No, you don't understand. You're only here because Walt has already seen this. You're only here because Walt saw the Magic Kingdom and then spent the last 10 years of his life bringing it to life," right? Walt had vision. He had vision of grandeur. He had vision of greatness for Walt Disney World. And as you and your as parents with your children, you have to have visions of grandeur and greatness for your children. You have to see it play out in your mind. And then you have to work hard to get it. If you do not see and have a set, solid vision for your children or your family or what those things are going to look like, I'm not saying it can't change along the way, but you have to be laser focused in the direction that you want to go, right? What do you want your girls to look like? What do you want your boys to look like? Right? What do you want your boys to look like a year from today? What do we want them to, what do we want our girls doing? So in our family, we want our girls to be good cooks because we value that the wife would be able to cook, right? And so what are we doing every single year? We're getting our children to do more and more and more with meals and make harder and harder dishes and have bigger and bigger responsibilities, right? Because by the time they become young teenagers, they should be able to handle all the cooking, we should be able to have 50 people over. They handle all the food, all the cooking, all the home logistics, right? Your goal, a person's right. You know when someone's ready to move out of your household? When do you think someone is prepared to move out of your household? When they have the ability to do everything inside the household, right? So my son will be able to get his own place when he has the skills to handle and manage his own place. Now, there's always something that you learn having your own place, right? But in my house, he will take over doing things in my house, changing furnace filters, changing light bulbs, changing batteries and smoke detectors, right? He will know and understand how to manage and take care of a home before he ever buys his first home. I have that vision for him. I will not let him go out there without being as equipped as I can in that area. So find your vision. Talk to your spouse at a time of non-conflict. What do you want to see happen for your children? And when do you want to see that happen? And then work relentlessly toward that vision. Don't get up and aimlessly wander today. Work relentlessly toward that vision of influencing your child's life toward the vision. So I will see you guys later.